coming out here, seeing the sharks, interacting with them, not killing them, it really just changed my perspective on all of it.
I was reviewing the interview I did last time I was out here and talked about your transformation from commercial fishing to ecotourism.
Mm-hmm.
So did you need to see, was it seeing a shark down underneath swimming that changed your mind, or did you already feel that way?
So as a kid, especially growing up in a fishing family, the fact that fish are getting killed is not readily apparent to you. It's just part of the deal. So you grow up fishing and you go and you catch fish, and that's what you do. So you don't really think of it in any other way besides that. So it really was more about the adventure and discovery. And then when I grew up and I started fishing full-time commercially offshore, it's just a way different deal.
You told me some pretty horrific stories from the commercial boats. Was that pretty hard to stomach while you were doing it, or was that also part?
In the later years it was. Early on, you're kind of oblivious, and you're also you're kind of callous to it also. I got hurt at work in 2008, and I finally got a chance to go diving with Joe for the first time, and it was amazing. I wasn't even in the water. They were diving. I was still in a cast, and just on the deck. It was what was missing from the water. I always loved the ocean. I always loved, you know, the life and all of it, and there was something there that wasn't the same, and that's what it was. And coming out here, seeing the sharks, interacting with them, not killing them, it really just changed my perspective on all of it. And within 3 years, I had quit fishing completely, and I do this. So recently it's come to my attention that they're looking to enact a law that would prevent us from chumming for sharks. What the law says is that the only chumming that would be allowed, the only attracting of sharks, would be for the purpose of harvesting the fish, which in layman's terms means killing the shark. So unless you plan on killing the shark, it would make it illegal for you to bait sharks for any reason, which includes diving and photography, what we're doing here. And if they are able to pass a law like that, it would essentially kill shark diving in the United States, and any operation like ours couldn't survive. And up and down the coast, there are many operations that work on different types of sharks. Some are on the bottom, some are surface sharks like we are here, pelagic animals that are out in the open ocean. But there's many breeds, and it's kind of a blanket law that doesn't take everything into account, and it could be detrimental if it goes through. From what I understand, the reason they're doing it is because of a lot of the inshore chumming that's taken place. Usually, depending on where it is, the biggest concern for a beach or ocean community is tourism, and a lot of people are afraid that the sharks are going to hurt tourism money, and that's the reason they don't want people chumming near shore. They don't want them with the sharks around, because the tourists come and they go, wow, the shark's here now, I don't want to go in the water, I don't want to swim at the beach. And it's all fear-based, and you know, as most fear, it's based on a lack of understanding. And the more you know about these animals, the less you see them as these crazy killers. They're really savvy, intelligent animal, and they're not out to get us. I've been running a shark dive for 8 years now, and I can say with confidence that sharks are not looking to eat people. They're looking to eat fish and their natural prey items. Unfortunately, because there's such a high human presence in the water, that there are mistakes and people do get hurt. But I think if sharks were actually targeting people for food, the numbers of shark bites would be crazy, because there are millions of people in the water on any given day all over the globe, and there are sharks there with them, but the sharks are not interested in eating people. That's not what they do.
Is where we're at right now and where we're chumming right now, is that considered close to shore?
No, we're at a spot here right now. We're probably 25 miles offshore, so we're well outside of state waters. And
would this law still affect you out here?
It's kind of vague as to where it would be. So what they're saying is it may extend out to 12 miles, which is the federal waters, before it reaches international waters. If that's the case here in Rhode Island, we would be outside of that, but there's also language written into it that would make it illegal for someone to knowingly take customers to engage in shark diving or viewing the sharks.
So you can chum as long as you have the intention of killing.
Correct. As long as you plan on harvesting the sharks, then the chumming would be fine. And in fact, even in places where these laws started, like Florida, that's still the case. It's perfectly legal for you to chum with the intention of catching the sharks. You're not allowed to chum and let the sharks leave. There's someone, I don't know who, decided that this could habitualize the animals and get them to where they're seeing boats and associating that with food. Now, some sharks do associate boats with food. There's been fishing boats all over for a couple hundred years in this country, and the sharks know that they throw food in the water. They're not going to learn that from a dive operation. The fact of the matter is, especially with something that's offshore like this, we don't even see the same animals twice. So the argument of them being habitualized is laughable, because not only are we not seeing the same sharks, there's no chance to put that much influence into a single animal where they're going to say, well, if I come to this spot every day, I'm going to get fed. It's just not how it works here. There are places around the globe where they do feeding operations with sharks, but in general they don't affect the beach. They're offshore just like we are, and I don't think they're ever going to. I think it's all based on fear and lack of understanding.
Catch and release tournaments and even research tagging, don't they chum?
They do. I don't know how that would affect it. Now, some of the tournaments recently in this area, I know one in Montauk, New York, has recently gone to a catch and release tournament. However, right here in Rhode Island and southern Massachusetts, they run some of the only tournaments that are kill tournaments that are left in the country, and there's about a half a dozen of them. So I really don't know how it would affect. I'm assuming that, like any law, there's a loophole, and you can get a permit, or you can get someone that will say that you can do this but not that.
But if this is based on fear, isn't that silly? You're magically saying that the sharks aren't going to habituate humans if it's a research project or catch and release?
Right. I think that if the habituation was a real thing, it would happen whether you were fishing or diving or doing research. It wouldn't matter. The sharks would find it and they would learn. The thing is especially in the Northeast here, when we have such a swing in temperature of the ocean, these sharks are all migratory. They come in, they're here in the summer months, they're feeding, possibly mating, and then they move out of the area and they're gone until next summer. So there's nothing that we could possibly do here that's going to have a long-term impact on these animals. Chances are that the sharks that we see this year on our trips, we may never see again. And as they move out of the U.S. waters and into some of the other more dangerous parts of the world, it's possible that those sharks are caught and taken anyway. So even if a shark was here and decided that, okay, I'm getting fed, I'm gonna start going up to boats looking for food, it's gonna be bad for them, not good, because the majority of the boats are intending on fishing, not diving.
But you are having a long-term impact on one animal.
Yeah, humans. I think the biggest thing that comes from the shark diving has got to be through the education. I myself have a young child, and I think that the kids are the key. You have to make someone aware before they can care about it. So what we try to do is to get people out here to see these sharks, and not just see them, but see them in the way that we see them. See them for the beauty, see them for the kind of majestic creatures that they really are, and not the bloodthirsty killers that have made, you know, TV and movies and all those things so popular.
So would you say is it fair to say that seeing the sharks down there swimming increased your appreciation of them and your desire to save them?
Absolutely. I would say that the only way to truly appreciate the beauty of these animals is to see them for yourself. The photos are great, and it's been a big part of what we do here, and it's the reason we've been so successful. But even the most stunning photo doesn't do them justice as compared to seeing them in real life. It's a life-changing experience. I tell anybody who comes out here that that's what it is, and if you look at it that way, it will do that for you for sure. Myself, I started as a fisherman, and I grew up fishing, and it was seeing the sharks out here in person that really changed my opinion, and not even mine. I mean, we were able to change Art's opinion. You're talking to a guy who's 70 years old, has been fishing his entire life, and I don't think the guy would ever put in a hook at a shark ever in his life. So it makes a big difference. And to be able to get people and bring them out here and show them is really what the job's about, because without informing new people and getting them passionate about what we're doing, eventually we're going to run out of people who are into it. So you always have to be looking for new people, especially younger people who love having kids out and kind of showing them these things for the first time and kind of igniting that spark that drives them forward and hopefully gets them in a position where they not only want to see these animals but protect them.
What's happening that might threaten your ability to show these animals to people?
The biggest threat to the animals locally is through fishing. We have two different types of fishing pressure here. You have an offshore longline fleet that is targeting swordfish, but as a bycatch, they catch a lot of sharks. And then in our particular area here off the coast of Rhode Island, they run a lot of fishing tournaments. So every year in the middle of the summer, at the peak shark season, you will have 3 or 4 straight weekends where you have anywhere from 20 to 70 boats that are out with the exclusive purpose of catching and killing sharks. That's why they're out there, and unfortunately they do a lot of damage. We see an appreciable difference in what we're seeing, not only numbers wise but in the behavior of the animals as well.
What's particularly bad about these sharks that they are targeting?
The biggest issue with the sharks that they're targeting here is the majority of the fish that they're catching are juveniles. The makos need to be, they theorize, 6 or 7 feet to reach a reproductive stage. And locally, the retention size for mako is only 54 inches, which is clearly a juvenile fish. And many of these tournaments will run the entire tournament without seeing a fish that has actually reached maturity and had a chance to reproduce. So you're taking an animal that already reproduces at a slow rate and you're cutting it off before it even gets a chance to do that. And in nature, that size range is the ones that we really need to survive. So the big ones, they survive, but the small ones are the ones that get picked off, and this is any fish. The small don't survive as well as the bigger ones. So once they reach this 4-foot size, they're well on their way to actually becoming a mature fish and having a chance at being reproductively active. And they're cutting it off right at the worst time. And the sharks are to a point where they're able to survive on their own and have a really good chance of making it to that size, and they're cutting them short before they ever get there.
What about weight limits and pregnant sharks?
As with any tournament, they tend to target pregnant females because those are the ones who tend to produce the largest weights. The world record weight for a line-caught mako is right here in New England, and they are absolutely targeting these large females that are pregnant. We've actually gone beyond thinking that they're pregnant. We know that that's what they're doing here. Later in the season, we have a high percentage of smaller, brand new makos that are anywhere from 18 to 24 inches that are brand new babies, and those big females are what carry them here, and those are the same ones that they're targeting for these tournament weights.